So you're interested in purchasing either the Chevy Colorado Z71 or Colorado Trailboss, but aren't quite sure which one is the best fit for you. Well, behind me, I have two 2026 Chevy Colorado Z71 and Trailboss finished in the same Radiant Red exterior, and we're gonna do a side-by-side trim comparison between each of these two off-road mid-sized trucks from General Motors. Now, the Trailboss is certainly going to be a little bit more on the basic side of things, giving you not only some of the features of the Z71 in terms of the automatic rear locking differential, the G80 rear diff. You're going to get things like a small lift, widened stance, and off-road capable tires from the factory. But the Z71 is certainly going to be more of the luxurious option if you're looking for not only all the features that are either available in the Colorado's lineup, but just like a little bit more of an upscale interior. And like I said, it does have more features available either from standard or some of the optional packages among the Z71. So without further ado, let's not waste time. Take a look at each of these two off-road capable trim levels from the Chevy Colorado lineup and ultimately see which one might be the better fit for you. So before we get into the actual side-by-side look at each of these two trucks, I do want to run through the features, options, and packaging that is either going to be the same and or different between each of these two and their trim levels. So starting out with the features that are going to be shared across the Trailboss and the Z71 for 2026 model year, they're both going to have 32-inch outside diameter tires with either an 18-inch or 20-inch alloy wheel. You're going to have the automatic G80 rear locking differential, hill descent control, dry mode selection, 2-speed 4-wheel drive transfer case, trailering equipment as standard, Stowflex tailgate, easy lift lower tailgate, key cylinder locking tailgate with the rear sliding window and defroster, heated side mirrors, rear AC vents, dual zone automatic climate control with the 11.3-inch infotainment system with Google integration, and of course the fully digital, about 10-inch digital cluster with all of the off-road pages and things like that that one would expect from an off-road vehicle. And then you have the Chevy standard safety assist suite with some of the forward collision avoidance assist, blind spot detection, and things like that. Now moving on to the Z71 equipment over that of the Trailboss standard equipment. In parentheses, I'll put whether this feature option is available at all in the Trailboss, and if so, which package in the Trailboss. But the Z71 is going to come standard with red recovery tow hooks, chrome interior door handle pulls. You have remote start, power driver seat, heated front seats, leather wrapped steering wheel, and wireless phone charging. Those are all going to be found in the Trailboss Convenience Package 2. And then the features that are not going to be found on the Trailboss, but standard on every Z71, interior auto dimming rearview mirror, illuminated vanity mirrors, proximity key entry, telescopic steering column, rear USB ports, 120 volt outlet in the rear center console, as well as a 120 volt outlet in the bed, LED projector headlights, LED fog lights, LED accent daytime running lights, as well as the remote express down for all 4 windows. So none of those features in that last section are going to be found on the Trailboss, but as you can see, there is some availability of standard equipment on the Z71 that is optional on the Trailboss. Now moving on to the optional features on both the Z71 and the Trailboss. So we have things like heated steering wheel and the spray-on bed liner. And then we have driver seat memory, driver seat mat pocket, rear center armrest, ventilated front seats, sunroof, and the Bose premium audio system. The heated steering wheel is available on Trailboss with Convenience Package 2. However, that last group of features is not going to be available at all on any Trailboss, even if you get a fully equipped one. So if you want things like ventilated seats, rear center armrest, driver seat memory, you will have to get Convenience Package 3 on Z71, and that's the only way to get those features other than ZR2 within the Colorado's lineup. So finally, moving on to the pricing before we get into the exact side-by-side comparison. Starting out with a Z71 4x4 base trim level, including destination, so the cheapest Z71 you can get is now $46,495, including destination. Convenience Package 3 will add about $970 and bring it up to $47,465. And then Trailboss standard MSRP, which is actually the truck, or very similar to the truck we're seeing in today's video, is $42,495. And then the Convenience Package 2 will bring it up to $44,920, including destination. So as you can see, there's a $2,000 to $3,000 price differential. Upwards of $4,000 if you compare base MSRP to base MSRP. But if you add some of the optional equipment package and things like that, it starts to bring the gap together just a little bit between the Trailboss and the Z71. But outside of that, those are going to be the core features and options that you're either going to be gaining as standard on the Z71 or as an option over that of the Trailboss. So before we get too much farther in today's video, I do just want to say I will have dedicated walk-around videos on either of these two trucks posted here on the channel. So if you're curious about either one of these, make sure to check those out. And these are, again, 2026 model year trucks, so they are the latest, most up-to-date versions of each of these, although most of these are going to be pretty much identical to that of 2025 with some minor tweaks for 2026, which I do have a video going over that in detail as well if you're curious about that. Now on my left, I have a 2026 Chevy Colorado Trailboss, and the only features and options that this one has is the MT tires as well as the Radiant Red is an extra cost paint color, but outside of that, this is going to be a standard Trailboss. And then on my right, I have a Z71 Convenience Package 3 with technology, sunroof, does have the 20-inch alloy wheels, and once again, the Radiant Red is an extra cost color, which makes this Z71 pretty much fully loaded for the most part for the 2026 model year, which brings it just over $51,000 including destination. So there is going to be a decent price difference between either of these two, but in terms of off-road capability and things like that, they are going to be fairly similar, although I will give that edge slightly to the Trailboss given the suspension lift, the MT tires, and just some of the other inherent benefits to this package versus that of the Z71, but both are going to be certainly more off-road capable than that of the standard 4x4 Colorado. So take a look at each of these two in terms of exterior appearance. You're going to notice some big differences right out of the gate. Now, number one, they both get, black front fascias, but you can see the Trailboss is certainly going to be more of a work truck front end, where the Z71 is going to be more of a premium looking front end. Starting over here on the Trailboss, you can see you do get the halogen reflector headlights for both the low and high beam, incandescent turn signals, and no fog lights are going to be available from the factory on this one. Now you still get the nice black bow tie and the Trailboss badging on the grille. And you see that is pretty much all matte black plastic, where you do have some medium gray gloss trim in the middle with the black recovery points hidden up there in the aero section of the bumper for just a little bit of aerodynamic and efficiency benefits. Now moving over here to the Z71, this is going to be the standard LED lighting package on Z71, which gives you the LED projector headlights. You have daytime running lights and then the incandescent turn signals in the middle of the grille with the LED projector fog lights a little bit farther down, once again as standard. Lots of body color paint match trim, including the gloss black grille, including the black bow tie and Z71 badging. And then down below, you do have the same or very similar medium gray gloss trim, red recovery points, and then the same aerodynamic diffuser for aerodynamic efficiency as well. And this one, having the technology package, does give you the 360 surround view camera system, where this Trailboss is not optioned with that, so it is going to be missing on this particular truck. But as a whole, pretty big differences in terms of appearance here at the front, and that pretty much does carry around the rest of the truck as well. Now, I do want to touch on the side profile and some of the appearance down there. Immediately you can see the Trailboss comes standard with the matte black plastic fender flares, which the Z71 did have a smaller version of that at one point in time available for an upcharge, but unfortunately Chevy discontinued that for the 2025 models and newer, so that is no longer available on this truck. But with the Trailboss, you're going to get things like, I believe, a 2-inch suspension lift from the factory. You're going to get the widen track or the widen stance, and you're going to get slightly larger diameter wheel and tire setup than that of the Z71 sitting over here. Now this one is optioned with the mud terrain tires, so basically this is going to be a much more off-road, robust, capable off-road tire than this kind of mild all-terrain over here, but this one once again is optioned with the 20-inch alloy wheels, where this is going to be an 18-inch as standard. 18-inch also going to be standard on Z71 if you don't upgrade the wheel on tire setup, but you can upgrade the Trailboss to a 20-inch as well with a slightly different design. Now taking a look at the upgraded and new for 2026 wheel design on Z71, it's going to be a gloss black with machine outer rim. You still get the Bridgestone Dueler AT all-terrain, a 255, 55, 20-inch in size. Once again, more of a mild all-terrain, which has good on and off-road manners. And then coming over here to the Trailboss, it is going to be an LT 275 65 18-inch Wrangler Territory MT maximum traction or mud terrain tire, which you can see has a ton of grip and benefits for off-road performance, and certainly should do decent on-road as well, but I would say has a little bit less on-road manners than that of the one on the Z71. But certainly going to be worth the upgrade in terms of a couple $100 if you do a lot of off-road driving. Now coming back to the side profile, both are going to have gloss black mirror caps on the outside. Now this one, once again, does not have the cameras or the technology package, so it doesn't have the cameras on the bottom. But you can see the mirrors are gonna be identical. You have proximity entry on both of the two front handles on the Z71. We have the matte black plastic handles over here on the Trailboss with no proximity entry, unfortunately. But you do have the Trailboss sticker and badging on the side of the tailgate, or excuse me, the bed, where you have the Z71 over here on this particular truck. And then continuing out back, you're gonna find some key differences out back as well. Z71 comes standard with the partial LED tail lights. So you have LED running lights, incandescent brake lights, turn signals, and reverse lights. And then this one does have the gloss black rear bumper with the integrated side steps, trailering package standard on both trucks, rear backup sensors on this one the way it is equipped, and Chevrolet stamped inside the tailgate with the easy lift lower functionality. And then coming over here to the Trailboss, you're gonna get fully incandescent taillights, so no partial LED running lights, unfortunately, on this one. So it's just gonna be full incandescent brake, turn signal, and reverse light. You do get the same gloss black bumper with the rear parking sensors, however, and side step. Trailering package is gonna be identical between the two. And then you have Chevrolet stamped into the tailgate with the easy lift lower, backup camera, and then the manual lock mechanism if you wanna use that. And then cool thing is both trucks also feature Stowflex in the tailgate itself as standard. And you see neither of them have the spray and bed liner, which is gonna be an additional upcharge if you do wanna choose that for either of these two trim levels. But from an exterior appearance standpoint, you guys will have to let me know down in the comment section below which one you prefer. Once again, there's a quick look at the Trailboss. There's a quick look at Z71. Certainly gonna be a much more beefy, robust stance on the Trailboss. But I think the Z71 still holds its own in terms of kind of a narrow body, mostly body color exterior appearance, where if you like a little bit more contrast and you like some of the additional enhancements over here on the Trailboss, that might be the better fit for you. So starting out on the interior of the Trailboss, it's going to be much more similar to that of the work truck side of the Colorado lineup than that of the more premium side, such as LT, Z71, and ZR2. So on the door panel of the Trailboss, it's going to be completely hard touch materials with the black accented door handle pull and really no soft touch materials to be found. Now when it comes to the seat, it is going to be the standard cloth material that you again find on the work truck, and really not going to be any premium luxurious amenities. But if you are looking for the synthetic leather on the inside and heated front seats, that is going to be available as part of that convenience package too that I was mentioning just a couple seconds ago. As far as the dashboard goes, pretty similar to that of some of the other trucks, with just some less soft touch across the passenger side of the dashboard with the accent stitching that you'll find in Z71, but the overall technology and feature set in terms of the infotainment system and the digital gauge cluster is pretty much going to be identical. Now moving on to the rear seats of the Trailboss, once again, this follows suit from the front. So the door panel is going to be entirely hard touch. Same cloth material for the seat backs. The seats do have underfloor storage, which is a nice feature to have. And then in the back seat of the Trailboss, unfortunately, you're not going to find USB-C charging, but you will find the rear AC vents, which is nice for those hot summer days. And you do have the rear sliding window with the rear defroster and features such as that. So overall, definitely geared towards the more basic work truck side of things, where it's more functional interior. But you're still going to have a decent amount of features and amenities, especially if you option that convenience package too, the technology package, which brings some of the equipment up to a level that might be more livable on a daily basis for the average person out there. So moving on to the interior of the Z71, immediately this is not only going to look but also feel a little bit more premium on the inside, very similar to that of the ZR2. So starting out on the door panel, you're going to have some rubberized soft touch materials on the back portion as well as for the armrest with red accent stitching. You have the nice chrome door handle pull with the same amount of lower door storage. And then moving on to the seats, given this is a convenience package 3 truck with the fully synthetic leather seats with heated and ventilated functions, it is going to be all that nice soft touch with the perforations in the middle. You have the red accent stitching, power seat of course, and then on the dashboard you're going to find a little bit more of that rubberized texture trim with the red accent stitching, just to make it look and feel a little bit more premium. Now, as far as the center infotainment screen and digital cluster, these are pretty much going to be identical in the overall features and functions. You have the off-road pages on the digital cluster and the center infotainment, Google integration with the app connected services if you choose to use all that. And then down below the screen, you do have a few more buttons and switches, just because this truck has a few more features from the factory on it, but you still have the 2-speed 4-wheel drive transfer case next to the center gear shift. And then the center console armrest has that same rubberized texture with the red accent stitching as the door panels. You have a little bit of that material on the side of the center console, and then across the dashboard on the passenger side is going to be that exact same material. Now, coming out to the rear seat of the Z71, some materials do follow through as far as the padded armrest, but a little bit less so than that of the front seats. Now, the seats themselves and the material is the same synthetic leather as the front. They do have the storage underneath, and then out back you have not only the AC vents, but also the dual USB-C charging and the 120 volt power outlet that is shared with 400 watts of power between the inside and the one in the actual bed itself. So if you're looking for some of that 120 volt power, unfortunately you do have to go all the way up to Z71, which is a little bit unfortunate they don't offer that at all on the Trailboss. But overall, I think the Z71 is noticeably nicer on the interior, especially when you get the fully synthetic leather seats, which are also available in the Trailboss as part of Convenience Package 2, although the stitching and the accent colors definitely make it pop a little bit more so in Z71 and, of course, ZR2. Now, under the hood of either of these two trucks or the entire Chevy Colorado lineup for 2025 or newer, you're going to find the exact same 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder paired to an 8-speed torque converted automatic transmission, putting out 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque through the rear wheels or all 4 wheels when you do select 4-wheel drive. Now, Chevy made the Turbo Max, or the high output version of this engine, standard for every 2025 or newer Chevy Colorado. So there's no more base output and high output, although the Z71 and the Trailboss always got the high output version. So there never was a low output for either of these two trim levels, but there was for a work truck and the LT, depending on which packages you do choose. But gone is that, and all of them have the exact same high output version. Now for 2026, however, Chevy did discontinue the engine appearance cover. So you can see this is how the engine looks. Formerly, this was a little bit nicer and covered with a plastic trim piece, but now that is basically how it looks from the factory. Maybe a little bit of cost savings. Who knows exactly why they did it, but overall, that is going to be the exact same powertrain, and fuel economy isn't going to be all that different either between these two trucks. I believe there's actually just like a 1 mpg difference between how these two are equipped, roughly 17 in the city, 20 out on the highway, which really isn't going to be, I guess, class leading per se, but I don't think it's going to be uncompetitive in this segment of midsize trucks, especially given the power output that either is producing, and they will run on 87 octane or higher, so there's no need to actually put premium on these trucks. You can actually save the money and just use regular 87 octane. So let's go to it here for this side-by-side trim comparison on the 2026 Chevy Colorado Z71 and Trailboss respectively. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and or found it helpful. If you did, make sure to hit that like button below, subscribe if you haven't already, and as you can see, there is quite a big difference in terms of some of the comfort creature amenities on the interior, the overall design aesthetic, as well as some of the niceties with the Z71 over the Trailboss. But if you're okay living with a more basic work truck type of feel on the interior and a little bit on the exterior, then the Trailboss certainly is going to give you much, if not all, of the same off-road capability of that of the Z71 at a much lower price point. You just will be sacrificing some of the nice things such as the LED projector headlights, fog lights. You don't have the option for some of the ventilated seats. You can get synthetic leather on the inside, but it's not going to be quite the same design and aesthetic. And there just really is a limiting amount of features you can add to the Trailboss, although that has been made nicer over the years since its introduction in 2023. So I really don't think you're making as much of a trade-off as you were back then as you are now, but there still is a host of features and options that you just can't get on Trailboss that you either come standard or come as an option on Z71. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, which one you would choose if you were in the market for a brand new 2026 Chevy Colorado. And I want to give a huge thanks to Green Chevrolet here in East Moline for providing either of these trucks as seen in today's video. So like I said, let me know your opinion and pick down in the comment section below. And as always, I hope to see you guys in the next one.